Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James H. Denise, and today we're looking at our first ever musical on the Kill Count, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Released in 2007 by director Tim Burton, this film was based on the identically named Tony and Grammy-winning 1979 stage musical by composer Stephen Sondheim, who also created West Side Story and Into the Woods. Sondheim's musical was itself based on an earlier play by Christopher Bond, which was one of many retellings of the tale of Sweeney Todd, a Victorian villain whose literary history goes all the way back to The String of Pearls, a Penny Dreadful series from the 1840s. Sweeney Todd has always been a fixture in British media, with the appropriately named actor Todd Slaughter famously playing the role in thousands of stage performances and a 1936 movie. So yeah, this was a well-known role long before that one episode of The Office.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
In fact, it's pretty amazing how many elements of the story have remained the same since it was first told over 150 years ago. Not only has Sweeney Todd always been a murderous barber, he's also always had a trapdoor chair that sends his victims into a basement where his partner in crime, Mrs. Lovett, has always cooked their bodies into meat pies. I've been a Sweeney Todd fan since I saw a filmed version of the musical in my middle school band class, long before this film ever existed. Thanks, Mr. Komet. I was excited when I heard about this movie being made, and it lived up to my expectations. This is one dope-ass, big-budget musical adaptation that translates the material to the big screen so well, even creator Stephen Sondheim approves.
This really is an attempt to take the material of the stage musical and completely transform it into a movie. This is not a movie of the stage show. This is a movie based on a stage show.
This was also one of those rare, respectable horror movies that earned one Oscar win and a couple other nominations. Wow, the Academy recognizing a good horror movie. Love when it happens, which is rare. Since this is a Tim Burton movie, it stars Johnny Depp and Burton's then partner, Helena Bonham Carter, who were both pretty much born to play these parts, even if Depp's amateur singing didn't quite match the film's Broadway origins. I think it works for the movie though. Also working for the movie is its hearty embrace of spurty neck blood. After all, as the late great Alan Rickman points out,
the film gives you the opportunity, unlike a stage production, to do Sweeney Todd with full blood.
That's why I'm grateful for today's sponsor, who happens to have a bit of Barber in him. I'm excited to be partnering with Dollar Shave Club to bring you this kill count and to finally get this beard off my face. It's not a bad beard, I just don't feel like me with it, you know? Dollar Shave Club can take care of all your grooming needs, from shower stuff to deodorant, and of course, most importantly, shaving. Their starter set's got a whole heap of goodies to keep your skin happy, including my favorite, the shave butter, because it's fun to say shave butter.
Waitress, more shave butter.
You can get the starter set for yourself for only $5 over at dollarshaveclub.com/deadmeat. With it, you can take care of your own shaving and not have to visit any potential demon barbers. How many meat pies will we make as we sing ourselves through the streets of London? Let's attend the tale of Sweeney Todd and find out. The movie begins with kick-ass Sondheim music as we follow some very 2007 CGI blood down into the floor and straight into a title card. Hit us with the wormy meat, nice. We kick things off on a ghost pirate ship. Wait, never mind, that's just mid-19th century London air quality. This kid Anthony is thrilled to be back. That is, until his words are used against him.
But there's no place like London. No, there's no place like London.
Yep, living dead man Sweeney Todd over here says London's a shit stain on the underpants of the world. Which, I mean, if you know anything about Dickensian London, he ain't wrong. This was before the city had developed a proper sewerage system, meaning it was one stinky, dirty place. For instance, the River Thames they're riding on there?
With a color varying from dark green to black, anyone who ventured near the water ran a danger of contracting cholera, typhus, smallpox, or tuberculosis.
Fun! Of course, Mr. Todd also has a personal vendetta against these dirty streets, which he tells Anthony about through song.
There was a barber and his wife, and she was beautiful.
This film was the first time Johnny Depp had to sing in a movie, since his voice was dubbed over for the singing parts in Cry Baby. Thankfully, Depp was friends with music producer Bruce Witkin, since he had originally wanted to be a rock star before being cast in Nightmare on Elm Street. Witkin worked with Depp to get his singing up to snuff, starting with the song My Friends.
Like, basically, that was the first song I ever sang in my life. You know, that was pretty weird. Yeah.
Having already been cast by Burton, Depp was under a lot of pressure to perform well. After all, as producer Richard Zanuck notes,
"We were spending millions of dollars on the picture. Not one person on earth had heard Johnny sing. And he's the star of the picture."
By the way, if Dick Zanuck looks familiar, it's because he and his producing partner David Brown were pivotal in getting Jaws made back in 1975. Dude was a huge force in the film industry and helped Spielberg and Burton make it big. Rest in peace, guy. Todd continues his song about the barber, Benjamin Barker, and his wife Lucy, who were a happy couple with a happy baby daughter. But one day, while they were glowing outside in the flower market or some shit, a severe-looking judge named Turpin came upon them. One look at that radiance was all it took for him and his ratty henchman Beadle Bamford to sick the police on the unfortunate barber. Barker was sent away to Australia, I think, and never learned what became of his wife Lucy. Now, 15 years later, Benjamin Barker is back with a brand new name and no handshakes to give. He returns to his old stomping ground on Fleet Street, which, you can tell from this wild and wacky look at it, is one destitute destination. He enters a meat pie shop owned by Mrs. Lovett, who tries to sing his cash into her till with the worst sales pitch I've ever heard.
These are probably the worst pies in London.
Yeah, probably, unless everyone else is selling bug pies too. Her pies are straight nasty because she can't afford good meat. Instead, she's been killing and using alley cats for supplies, which gives us this incredible line.
Popping pussies into pies.
Yep, she's making pussy pop pies. Oh, that felt gross to say. Like Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter had never performed in a musical before, although she had been a fan of Sondheim's Sweeney Todd since she was a child.
Mrs. Lovett, I wanted to be her since I was 11. And I went around apparently in Mrs. Lovett hairdos.
Obviously, being with Burton helped her get an audition, but Sondheim himself had final approval over casting, and was happy with Carter's vocal abilities after her 3-month crash course in singing. Feeling bad about feeding him her filth, Mrs. Lovett takes Mr. Todd into her apartment, where he asks about the room he sees is vacant above her shop. She says no one will rent it, cause it's haunted. But why don't you expound upon that a little bit, Mrs. Lovett?
There was a barber and his wife.
Oh, actually, you know what? I think he knows this one. Lovett is able to fill him in on what happened to Lucy after Barker's exile, though. Turpin tried courting her, which she steadfastly refused, until she was eventually convinced by Beadle Bamford to come and collect an apology from the judge. She arrived at his home to find a costume ball going on, and it was here that the judge promptly raped her in public. Yo, y'all are fucked up letting that shit go down. Especially you, Beadle. You extra nasty. Sweeney Todd's outraged reaction outs him as Benjamin Barker to Mrs. Lovett, who tells him his lovely Lucy poisoned herself shortly after the ball. Oh, yeah, and also, Judge Turpin's got his daughter Joanna and has raised her as his own. Welcome home! Todd tells her he has a new name now and moves into his old room, which, gotta say, is not a great way to maintain an alias. Hey, who's that new guy who looks like Benjamin Barker and who moved into Benjamin Barker's old place? You think that's Benjamin Barker? From beneath the floorboards, Mrs. Lovett retrieves a box she's been saving for Mr. Todd, and in it is a set of shiny silver straight razors. Upon seeing them, Sweeney Todd declares himself the loneliest man in the world.
These are my friends.
He strikes a couple of poses with his friends, and even double fists them, all while Mrs. Lovett gets thirsty and tries to woo him with her cleavage. Damn, better luck next time, Lovett. But that's what you get for trying to get busy before he's even got all his limbs together.
At last, my arm is complete.
There you go. That's how you dramatically complete a man. Elsewhere in this shithouse city, the Lannister-looking Antony hears a beautiful voice coming through a window. It's Sweeney Todd's baby girl, Joanna, trapped in her bedroom like so many caged birds. While she's looking at Antony down below, Judge Turpin is looking at her through a peephole that's undoubtedly drilled into a very sticky wall. Antony learns who Joanna is from a miserable woman on the street and immediately starts to sing about her and what he'd like to do.
I'll steal you
Whoops, shouldn't have said the quiet part loud, dude, because here's Judge Turpin beckoning Anthony inside. Turpin, who's wearing the dopest ass outfit I've ever seen, learns that Antony is a sailor, and thusly shows off his worldly knowledge.
The geishas of Japan, the concubines of Siam, the catamites of Greece, the harlots of India.
Okay, Judge, we get it. You've got hoes in different area codes. Turpin suggests to Antony that he take a hike to one of those locales after what he saw him doing.
You gandered at my ward.
And there was a clearly visible sign saying no gandering. He threatens Antony and kicks him out, with Beadle telling the boy to go on and get, and take your smelly ass gym bag too, bitch! Todd and Lovett head into the surely disease-filled town square, where a pop-up stage is set for Signor Pirelli, king of barbers and barber of kings. Pirelli's opening act is this dirty little lad with a drum who politely takes the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Why, yes you can, you nice young starving boy. This kid Toby hypes up his boss as the man behind the elixir that gave him this head of Mick Garris hair. Despite his well-performed jingle for the serum, Toby loses the crowd after Todd makes a declaration about its contents.
Smells like piss.
Smells like ew.
Looks
Oh,
like
don't touch
piss.
the bar, was you, dear?
This is piss. Piss with ink.
One wah-wah-wee-wah later, though, Pirelli himself is standing on stage and presenting his bulge to defend his elixir. Todd challenges Pirelli to a good old-fashioned shaving contest, and with one whip of decay, Pirelli accepts. Badass Beadle Bamford agrees to judge the competition, and the Fleet Streetians get really into it, because people back then were so fucking bored they would form a crowd just to watch some dudes get shaved. Pirelli sings as he works, but his grandstanding is no match for Todd's Wolverine strike unleashed upon his subject's face. He's declared the winner, according to rules that were never really made clear, and wins some prize money from Pirelli, as well as some interest from potential customers.
You shall surely see me there before the week is out.
How are you about to shave a beetle? They got such hard shells. Days later, Antony returns to Joanna's windowside, where she tosses him a key to her room. He takes it and rushes over to his boat buddy Mr. Todd, to whom he spills all that delicious Joanna tea, including his intent to steal her away. Antony asks Todd if he can hide her there at the shop, and perhaps because the lad reminds him of a younger version of himself, Todd agrees to the arrangement before sending the sailor on his way. Pirelli arrives at the barber shop unannounced, Toby in tow, and while Mrs. Lovett tends to the boy's empty stomach, Pirelli heads upstairs to confront the old Sweenster. He reveals that he's neither Italian nor dumb. He knows who Todd really is.
Mr. Benjamin Barker.
Pirelli knows because he used to apprentice for Barker back when he was a kid, and he recognized Barker's silver friends during their historic shaving competition. He tries to blackmail Todd, but that only earns him a kettle to the face and a seriously scalding beatdown from the very pissed off Sweeney Todd. Man, does that guy got some anger inside him. Pirelli ends up stuffed inside a chest, and after seeing that he's still alive, Todd finishes him off with a slit of the throat. Crazy how bloody this movie gets for such a mainstream film. You gotta respect that. After condemning a child in court to a death by hanging, sorry little buddy, Turpin tells the big bad Beetleborg that he plans to go full on Woody Allen and marry his ward Joanna. Only for some reason, when he told her this plan, she wasn't all that jazzed.
She showed a certain reluctance.
Beedle tells Turpin that Joanna will surely be more excited after the judge gets himself a good shave, and he knows just the barber to do it. Say no more, Beetlebum, let's go! Over at the meat pie shop, Toby stuffs his face, removes his wig, and shoots some gin before Lovett decides she'd better check on Mr. Todd.
Leave the bottle.
Funny joke here, but it was also an unfortunate reality back then.
Parish nurses gave it to the pauper children to keep them quiet, which it did, permanently. In the mid-18th century, over 9,000 children died of gin poisoning.
Man, 19th century London fucking sucked. Upstairs, Lovett determines Todd's crime through both inference and hard evidence, but comes around to supporting the murder when Todd says Pirelli tried to blackmail him.
For a moment there, I thought you lost your marbles.
With no harm done, snatchy snatchy. Todd's willing to cut Toby's neck as well, just to tie up all the loose ends here, but Lovett convinces him that the boy would be useful as a shopkeep.
course, we're going to have to stock up on the gin.
Before Todd can tell her about the dangers of adolescent cirrhosis, he sees the judge and his beadle approaching. He kicks Lovett out and puts on his finest women's jacket to welcome Judge Turpin into his shop. In spite of its uninspiring interior, Turpin sings into Todd's face that he would like one shave, please, and sits down to start an a cappella group with his new Cruella de Vil-haired acquaintance. Now the woodwinds! As the shaving commences, both men sing about pretty women in one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack. Although, honestly, I could probably say that about every song on the soundtrack. I rock hard to Sweeney Todd, dog. As with Depp and Carter, this was Alan Rickman's first foray into musicals, a daunting task when Sondheim himself was present during production.
It's so tough and it's so ridiculous what you're about to do, i.e. sing for Stephen Sondheim, that something in the body just says, well, then just do it.
The actors all recorded their songs in sound booths by themselves before they ever arrived on set to film any scenes together. Having the singing parts done already made some things easier for them.
The pre-record is the guide and is also the safety net in a sense. Great. You don't necessarily have to hit the note properly, each time on set.
Although it did present other, unique difficulties they had to then deal with.
So sometimes you did come across, but you thought like, oh, I thought you were going to look at me at that. That was what I'd imagined in my booth. Of course, when you're acting on your own in a booth, your other actor is always going to do what you want. And then when they're on set, they got different ideas.
Todd and Turpin's beautiful back and forth duet isn't enough to make the barber forgive the man who raped his wife, so he puts his blade up to the judge's neck, only for fuckboy Anthony to charge in and balls it all up, screaming about his Joanna napping plans. Joannapping? The judge dresses him down like a child on death row and charges out of the shop, leaving Todd absolutely furious over his missed opportunity. I had it! He reiterates his hatred of all things London, then steps it up a notch by saying there ain't a single person here who shouldn't get got.
They all deserve to die.
Pretty extreme beliefs there, my dude, but I will give you credit for your consistency.
Even you. Mrs. Lovett, even I.
He fantasizes about seeing his daughter and getting revenge against the judge, while in the meantime, he'll kill a bunch of random people, just to keep his blade sharp.
In the meantime, I'll practice on less honorable friends.
Downstairs, as Toby takes a pine-flavored nap, Mrs. Lovett comes up with an idea of what they can do with Pirelli's body.
With the price of meat, what it is, when you get it, if you get it. Good, you got it?
She may not be a star baker, but she is skilled in at least one area I'm not. Business! The two of them sing about cooking up a variety of professionals, from priests to poets, in a song filled with lots of fun puns.
Is the politician so oily? It's served with a doily. Have one.
Put it on a bun.
I love how throughout the number, Todd can hardly contain his bloodlust, nor Lovett her lust. Turpin catches Joanna in the act of packing for her getaway with Anthony, and as punishment, he has her shoved into a carriage and taken away. Anthony sees it happen, and after Turpin fucking predator poses on him, he runs after his recaged object of affection. He sings through cemeteries and past opium dens until he finally locates Joanna up in the window at Fogg's asylum. Poor thing. At the barber shop, Sweeney Todd engages in a full-on Little Monsters montage to rig his barber's chair into a body-dumping throne of death. Now, listen, my man, if you spent a whole montage making it, you'd better spend one using it, too. Oh, what's that? You are? Great! During this cavalcade of kills, Todd slits various throats while singing about Joanna. After each kill, he dumps the bloodied body down his newly installed corpse chute, sending it into the basement, from which Mrs. Lovett emerges with freshly baked meat pies. He cuts a total of 5 throats during this song, giving us a mighty fine addition of kills alongside a whole bunch of spurty blood. This sequence showcases the movie's fantastic practical effects, which used prosthetics designed by Neil Scanlon, whose work I previously highlighted when I covered both Prometheus and Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Dude makes great dinosaurs. Scanlon and his team experimented with many different stabbing and slashing techniques until they found an effect that Burton liked most, one that used over a gallon of blood for each kill.
What we're trying to do is to push the boundaries to the slightly ludicrous. By doing that,
you take the audience away from that feeling that this is real.
Using a series of tubes, not a big truck, blood was pumped through an appliance attached to each actor being killed on screen. Then, full-size dummies were made with interlocking soft foam body parts that moved realistically for the corpse dumping from Todd's chair, which, by the way, was a fully functioning construction made by effects supervisor Joss Williams and production designer Dante Ferretti, who won an Oscar for his work here. Well deserved too, since Ferretti built the giant sets that made up Fleet Street and all of its buildings. Like I've said before, a good set can do wonders for an actor's performance, since it makes it that much easier to immerse yourself in a film's fantasy world. Mrs. Lovett has a grand reopening for her meat pie shop, complete with the sweet sonic sounds of Toby the Boy Wonder and some outdoor lighting that you could find at half a dozen restaurants in Silver Lake. Everyone seems excited, save for that miserable homeless woman, who has seen the black smoke of the meat pie shop and has claimed it's meant mischief many times over. She tries to crash the eatery, but Lovett has Toby shoo her away. And aside from that unwelcome visitor, the night goes real well for Lovett and her shop. With business booming, Lovett turns her attention towards her personal life, in the film's only sequence that doesn't make me feel like I need to wipe a layer of grime off my monitor. She pitches to Todd that he should forget about vengeance and just let her kiss his cheek all day, in the song By the Sea, a notoriously difficult number to sing since it doesn't account for oxygen intake.
It's very difficult to breathe here.
I know.
He hasn't left a lot of room.
He hasn't left a lot of room for breath, has he?
The song's sequence depicts a dream life for Mrs. Lovett, wherein she and Todd get to wear fun outfits on the beach and sip tea on the porch. These outfits, like all of the immaculately done period costumes in this movie, were designed by the incredible Colleen Atwood, whose work here was nominated for an Oscar. Sweeney Todd lets Lovett go on with her fantasy, up to and including a marriage with truly passionate vows.
You take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife.
Oh, not so heavy there, Casanova. That's a place of God. Lovett finishes her song by telling Todd to move on from his missing daughter and dead wife. After all, life is for the living. Antony makes another dramatic entrance and tells Todd that he's located Joanna, much to Mrs. Lovett's chagrin. Todd forms a plan for Antony to go rescue her, but after sending him away, he writes a letter to Judge Turpin straight up snitching on the lovesick sailor. He finishes writing his tattletale and gives it to Toby to deliver, then paces the day away in front of his giant window overlooking the street. Wait, has he been killing people in front of that thing this whole damn time? When Toby gets home later, he tells Mrs. Lovett he really lovets her, since she saved him from doing more dangerous child labor.
Seems like the good Lord sent you for me.
Great sentiment, Tobster. Why don't you sing about it?
Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around.
Hear that, Lovett? Your own personal 80-pound bodyguard. He tells her that Sweeney's a weenie and undeserving of her love. And after he sees Pirelli's coin purse and is told it was a gift from Mr. Todd, well, that just settles it for the kid. Time to go to the police. Lovett tells him to hold his goddamn horses for a minute, because how would he like a promotion instead? Congrats, Toby! Now you're a baking boy, and your lessons begin immediately. Here's the giant scary furnace used for cooking, and here's the giant scary grinder used for grinding. She tells him to give that a whirl while she locks him inside the basement and ponders what to do with him. Under disguise as an apprentice wig maker, Antony wins entry to Fogg's asylum, asking to see his blonde inmates for supplies. He holds Fogg up and escapes with Joanna, allowing the inmates to swarm their keeper. But I don't know if he gets killed or not, so I'm not gonna put him on the list. Beadle arrives at the barber shop in response to the stinky smoke that's been emanating from the bakery. But before he can check out the cook room, Todd convinces him to come upstairs for some free cologne and rum, which honestly doesn't sound like a bad groomsman gift. Making a note and done. Toby tries to enjoy himself in the basement by eating free meat pies, but that plan goes south when he finds little Jack Horner's thumb instead of a plum inside. Oh shit, little man, the meat pies come from people! People like Beadle Bamford, whose body crashes down the chute, blowing his brains out. Better cover that ish with a hat. Todd and Lovett come downstairs to deal with Toby, but the boy evades them and their singing search by hiding below the sewer grate. Aw man, you're missing out on a free shave there, Tobe Dog. As they look for the child they hope to murder, Antony arrives upstairs with Joanna and tells her to stay put as he goes to look for Todd. Make yourself at home while he's gone, Joe. You can unknowingly enjoy your own baby pictures. Joanna hides in a chest when that vagrant, who's been orbiting the story this whole time, walks right through the door. She's looking for Beadle Bamford, whom she saw enter the shop with Todd earlier. But instead, she finds the barber himself, and he is not in the mood for her nonsense, even if she's not exactly a stranger.
Don't I know you, mister?
With the judge calling out for him, Todd slits the throat of the miserable woman. And it's a good thing she knows how to die standing up, because that keeps her over the trap door long enough for Todd to send her to the basement. Turpin arrives, asking where Joanna is, and Todd tells him good news. She's on her way right now. And better news? She's all of a sudden pumped to marry him. How about an engagement shave? Oh, but actually, Judge, there's also some bad news. Sweeney Todd is Benjamin Barker. Oh shit, motherfucker stabbed him with that razor. He stabs him multiple times, in fact, sending blood all over the place before he delivers one final throat slash. That's not quite enough to finish Turpin off, since he still has enough life in him to give Mrs. Lovett a scare, but he does die soon enough, so no worries. Todd retires his friends and discovers his daughter, although he mistakes her for a common youth in need of a good shave. He's stopped by a scream from Lovett as she finds Judge Turpin, so he lets Joanna go and leaves to see what's going on in the basement. By the light of the cooking furnace, Todd realizes that the miserable woman he just murdered was actually his dearest Lucy.
Don't I know you? She's...
Turns out Lovett misled Todd, letting him think that Lucy died from taking poison, whereas in reality, the poison just messed her up in the head and left her homeless. Todd grabs Lovett and gives her one last dance before chucking her into the furnace and closing and locking the door. Damn, all that hair about to smell real bad as it burns, brah. Though I guess y'all were probably already dealing with that problem, huh? Todd cradles his dead wife's body and reprises the song about the barber and his wife, while Toby emerges from the sewer with some Teenage Mutant Ninja vengeance on his mind. As the boy takes one of Todd's friends off the ground, the barber, I think, senses his presence and presents his neck for cutting, having no good reason to live anymore. Toby obliges and slits Sweeney Todd's throat, giving the barber a taste of his own bloody medicine. Haha, he's just dripping it all down into Lucy's dead face. Gross, dude. The movie ends with the barber dying in the basement of the bake shop, and it was beautiful. How many corpses got cooked into meat pies? Let's finally finish this shave and get to the numbers. There were 11 deaths in Sweeney Todd. Only 2 of them were women, meaning 9 of them were dudes, but thankfully, the most innocent characters, like Antony, avoided being cooked into this human meat pie chart. With a beefy runtime of 116 minutes, that left us with a kill on average about every 10.5 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Judge Turpin. Nearly every kill in this movie was the same, all razor blades and blood sprays, but Turpin's was the most graphic, besides maybe old Beadle Bamford's brain busting. But Turpin's death had more importance to it. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to the 4th kill in that montage, I guess, since it was shot from behind and thus had the least visible gore. And that's it. Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, came out in 2007 and is pretty friggin' awesome. Next week is a Star Wars supercut and then a bonus kill count of Valentine for Valentine's Day. But until all that, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count on Sweeney Todd. I want to thank some patrons like David Story, Jim Fasseline, Krista Allen, Vaughn, Zachary Short, and Gambit. And a special thanks to my moderator Spork, who gave me that Sweeney Todd action figure back there. Thanks, Sporky. And another thanks to Dollar Shave Club for sponsoring this episode and my shave. Thanks everyone, be good people.